about using Discord. Have you started sending things in via Discord? Okay, well then never mind. We'll just do what we used to do. But if somebody wants to, if somebody did capture that from the screen, you can use Discord to send questions, and I will see them and I will read them to Jim. But that means that in the meantime, I'm going to need a wireless mic for one of my volunteers. And where is Karen?
Well, yeah, of course, Karen.
Woo! It's like, where are we? Where's Kevin? There's Kevin. Okay. If you would like to ask Jim a question, you'll get a card back here, please, and from Kevin, and a pen, and he will bring those questions to me or read them himself, whichever works out. We'll be fine. But did anybody do any Discord here? Okay. Well, then we will use those. Well, I think it wasn't on the screen. Okay. All right, okay, I've got two. I've got one that's like, I see this in every Discord thing they do, but Reporter wants to know, what is your favorite Waffle House order? Do you do such?
My favorite what?
Waffle House order?
Well, after the fight. It would usually just be waffles, and I think their ground chuck steak was what I wanted, if I remember correctly. It might have been a different diner, I'm not sure.
Okay, well, thank you, Reporter. Now, I'm sorry, I just came from another panel in the Weston where there were some very interesting acronyms of the names. What's that? Yeah, so it was interesting. Ido, is Ido with us in here in the room? Okay, you want to stand up or just raise your hand?
I'm good.
Okay, that's Ido. And I can see why based on the equipment. And he wants to know if there is anything planned for Codex Alera.
Not at the moment. I've got a bunch of stories I want to do, and I can't do them fast enough. I'm going to have to, they say the first person to live to be 150 has already been born, and I'm going to need to be that man to finish the things I want to write.
Well, and I should have asked you in the very beginning, what's been going on? You've been busy, haven't you?
Oh,
Yeah. That's just me asking.
Okay. I was sure you were talking to me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well, I've been writing, been working on the next Dresden. Actually, I got them done in the next 2 or 3 or 4 weeks, something like that. And I can almost see the big kaboomy ending. I kind of did this book a little bit differently. Normally, I always know the beginning, the end, and the middle when I start out. And this book, I kind of didn't because it was so different from the rest of the other ones I've been writing. We'll want to see how it turns out.
So the big kaboomy is as opposed to the small one.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
there's a certain amount of drama you have to bring in at the end of the book if you want people to stay up all night reading. So.
Waiting and then bothering you about when's the next one.
Yeah, because I know y'all. If I come in and say, oh, I just finished the most recent Dresden, you'd be like, what about the next one?
Yeah, just
I get it.
Okay, now this one is from Wishing on Starfish. Is Wishing on Starfish in the room?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. I'm blinded by the light, so, okay. So, thank you. Oh, we love you. Okay. Please weigh in on my friend group's drunken debate. Okay.
It doesn't seem like the thing I would do normally if it was just like standing around, but okay.
Okay. If Molly were to die in the line of duty, who wins the fight when Charity comes gunning for Matt?
I don't know. I have to write that one out. Charity's chilled out a bit, over time. I don't know. I guess we have to see. Huh. odds-on favorite would have to be Matt, but you know, it could be an underdog. We don't know.
Yeah. Okay, let's see, there was one that, here's one that's probably closely akin to the ones in the next one. Is there any news on the Maggie book? And this is from Draco Angelica.
Oh, hey, not as yet. It is something I might want to do for the future, but you know, there's stuff that I'm working on right now, and I can't really justify doing a third project and making everything slower. So.
Now, this is in another relation to another series. Is there a character or scene that you had a particularly? Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry, wrong question. Captains. I was going to get to that one, but I kind of like this one. Captains go down with the ship. Is Predator going to be upset with Captain Grimm that he didn't follow this tradition?
Oh God, no. Predator's more reasonable than that. Jeez.
All right, well, there you have it. So, and that was from Jay Drain. I forgot to mention that, I'm sorry. Jay Drain with us?
Yeah.
Thank you for your question. All right, this one is from Wesley ATL. Is there a character or scene that you had a particularly difficult time getting right? And what was the process like to finally get it right?
Was there a character scene? There's lots of. I generally have the other problem where there's a scene that comes out really, really right, and I never planned it. And then it steals thunder from other plots, which has generally been my real problem. Stuff like Harry meeting Maggie for the first time. You know, when he goes over to the Carpenters and she's like, you know, do you want to be my dad? Holy crap! You know, it's like, I'm sitting here writing that, I'm bawling my frickin' eyes out. I get to the end of it, and I'm like, this was supposed to be a wrap-up scene for some emotional stuff that we were dealing with, and then moving on to other stuff as we go into the story. And here we are, you know, I'm ripping my heart out, and therefore my reader's heart's out. And then after that, I had to go back and start trying to pump up other parts of the story to keep pace with that one, which generally, I think that's a good positive problem. I like having problems that result in really cool solutions, and that is often one of them, is I get a really good scene out of nowhere, and then I have to go, well, now I have to redo everything else. You know.
All right, this one is from Sleepy Rain. Sleepy Rain, are you with us together?
I'm over here.
Okay, thank you.
Hi.
And Sleepy Rain says, hi, how's it going? And that says, is the skull that Bob lives in the skull of his parent? Quote, or did someone have to find or create a home for him? I'm not sure about that laugh. What do you think?
It's hard to answer that without giving away, you know, the truth of where Bob came from. Yeah. Let's just say that the skull he lives in was the skull of the guy who died to make him happen, and leave it at that. You know, not everybody has somebody like Molly there to do, you know, psychic surgery. So. UZAI, which I have mispronounced. Are you here with us? We'd like to know, is there enough iron in breakfast cereal to hurt Henry or Molly? If so, A, can he weaponize tricks or lucky charms against and B, how bummed would they be not to be able to eat Rice Krispies anymore? I'm imagining Matt eating Rice Krispies, and it's way too involved an image. I'm not sure. Although I would say probably no. The iron thing is not about the atomic molecular composition of iron. It's more about stuff that is attached to it as the main metal that humanity used to rise up from nothing. So yeah, I don't think okay, at the same time, It's like that, you know that scene in Park and Rec where Ron Swanson has been told to eat a banana? I'm thinking of Mab with the breakfast cereal the same way. It's, you know, kind of trying to come at it from different angles and finally going, no, I'm not eating this. Not because it hurts, but just because it's weird.
Like, what do you do with those little tiny kernels and the crispy? Yeah. Now, this one is from the Real Marriott Carpet. And where are you?
Somewhere.
Having written Spider-Man, if time wasn't a consideration, is there another superhero you'd want to write?
I think I might want to do. Big Blue for just kind of to write a paladin. That might be kind of fun because that's what Superman is. And in point of fact, a while back, I was offered a chance. I was contacted by DC and said, "Hey, do you want to do Superman or Batman?" And I had to reply, "Hey, I'm not up enough on Superman or Batman to do justice to the people who are fans of that because they're serious." So I wound up turning down that deal, and because I just got done doing Spider-Man. But they offered me a chance to write the comic for a bit, and I wound up turning them down because I like writing long-form stuff. And comics are hard to write. Total respect for people who do that. But yeah, I mean, if it was somebody like that, I might want to do Superman because I think I could do Superman and throw enough moral quandaries at him to just ruin his day.
I guess that doesn't surprise any of us, does it? Okay, Metacog. Over here, okay. If you were to cosplay Dresden, hat or no hat?
Oh, if I were cosplaying Dresden?
Yeah.
Well, first I'd get some painter stilts. Really long coat, but I would probably go no hat because I'd be doing it here. It's hot.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it walking over here from the West, and I haven't been outside in 2 days, and I came over here. Oh my gosh. Jonathas. We have a Jonathas around. Let's see. Well, they want to know, how does one properly pronounce the names of the 3 holy swords?
Amarachius, Fidelocius, and Esperachius. Yeah, so Achius.
Okay. Casino Knights. Are you here?
There you go.
Okay. Have you included any scenarios or characters from your tabletop campaigns in your books?
Ooh. Yeah, I mean, inevitably. That's one of the things I do to build my story worlds. If I'm going to start something new, is I'll stop and run a role-playing game in that world because it's a really good exercise for me because players never do what you expect them to do, much like characters in a story. I don't often get them to do exactly what I want them to do. But I like to be able to flesh out the world in front of people because I'm like frantically building it 6 inches in front of their toes as they go, and then trying to pretend like, oh no, I planned this. And if I do that for a couple of different campaigns, then it gives me a much better idea of what the story world's going to be like when I start writing stories. Which it changes because what makes a good game is the same as what makes a good book. But goodness, yeah. I mean, I love doing this. There's been lots of stuff in the Dresden Files that has originally appeared, or in other books that has originally appeared in games at the dining table.
Okay. Cluckadoon. Cluckadoon, are you with us? There, okay. Wants to know, what was your inspiration for the Denarians?
For the Denarians, well, I mean, I had designed Michael, and he was the first thing that I did. And then I thought to myself, I like Michael. What if there was more Michael? What are we going to do? And then I thought, ooh, what would be really, okay, well, I've already said we've got a nail on the sword, and there's 3 nails, so let's play with that. And so I thought, there's got to be 2 more knights. And so you started putting them together. And then after that, I was like, okay, I made the knights way too strong. They're just way too powerful and cool.
I need an arc enemy for them to be spending a lot of their time against, so that Dresden can't just call Michael and say I need help every time he needs help. So then I was like, okay, well I need somebody else, and I need him to kind of be like hopelessly outnumbered. That seems to be like the really cool thing. Like outnumbered like 10 to 1. Like, okay, 3, 30. Oh, yeah, okay, I got that. Because we got 30 coins, and we can definitely do it like that. And that was that was essentially my process.
I like the way you laugh when you say process.
Process.
And let's see, Splash NCCS, are you here? I don't see, okay. But well, they want to know if you could or have or will go to any panel at the con, which one would you go to?
If I could go to any panel?
Yeah, if you could go, I guess as an attendee, as a fan, is there
Oh,
one
okay.
that you would go to?
So like if I could bilocate.
That too. Yeah. He's a pretty busy guy. Yeah.
I'd want to explore and go around a different one. If I could go to any con I wanted, I just want to have one. Okay, let's assume multiple man powers here. Which, by the way, would be my superpower of choice. As being multiple man, that's a quality of life superpower. So let's say I had multiple man superpowers. I would just want to go to everything at the con and just see what's here. I mean, honestly, most of the time that I'm here, I'm so busy doing panels and whatnot, there's not a lot of time for much else. If I'm lucky, I can get over and go shopping and get some gifts for people. But other than that, I'm mostly doing, panel stuff. So I almost don't know what's here. I'm part of the show. I didn't do the rest of the show.
You are the show, Jim. You are the show. Okay. I think it looks as though Kara has some questions.
Would you like me to read them, or would you like to read them?
What's that?
Would you like me to read them, or would you like to read them?
Oh, go ahead. You go ahead and do those, and yeah, we'll intersperse them.
Okay. First question is from Jack. Apart from Harry and the OG Merlin, do we know any of the other Wardens of Demon Reach?
Any of the other what?
Wardens of Demon Reach.
The Merlin was never a warden of Demon Reach. I don't think or not the Merlin, but Merlin, the original. There's been relatively few over the years. Over the time since Merlin, there's been 2 other wardens, and one of them the White Council doesn't know about. I mean, this is backstory. It's not going to come in any of the books or anything like that. I mean, it's a story about Harry. But yeah, I mean, it's one of those positions that it's either you've got to be completely establishment or completely outsider to do it. There's just nothing in the middle that works there.
Now, Tired Knight as in KN. Are you here, Tired Knight?
Yeah.
Or are you too tired?
Back in the
Okay. I got you. How involved will the Knights of the Sword remain in the last few books?
Well, we're gonna have to get the new wielder of Amarakius out first before they really start doing stuff. They're a bit involved in what's going on now, in what I'm writing now. Although it's more Michael's son Daniel is back doing stuff in Chicago because it's necessary. But we'll see what. As for the rest of the series, there will be a night about. That's just how it is. Big stuff goes down in the world, and there are big, bad, evil, supernatural things trying to get things done. Knights show up. That's how they do it. So you'll see more of them.
Good. Okay. I just lost it. This is from Art. Art wants to. Okay. What gives the crystals from the Cinder Spires their sentience?
That's a question I can't answer without explaining too many things about the story. There's not time for it.
Okay. Well, too many spoilers.
Let's just say that's their nature, and as more and more of them grow together, more and more things start happening with them. And what we're doing in the Cinder Spire story right now is we're sort of seeing this awakening, and that's all I'm going to say for now.
That's all you get. If you could, this is from Lieutenant Obvious.
Nice.
Yeah, like that, wherever you are. Is that?
There he is.
Oh, okay, there we go. Yeah, it was, unless I was looking in that direction. So, yeah. If you could have an actor play Tommy in a film or show, who would be your perfect casting choice?
Oh my God.
Living or dead?
It would have to be Chalamet, wouldn't it?
Oh, that's true. He would
I
be.
mean, he just fits that part perfectly, he kind of looks the right age. Although we probably, I mean, if I was really gonna do it, I'd want to start with someone younger and that nobody knows. You know, and if it's gonna be like, 6 movies or something like that, that's what I'd want, is grab somebody younger and have them grow up. And we'll see them grow up. It's a coming of age fantasy. We watch an actor coming of age.
Okay. Zimmy. And Zimmy out here somewhere?
Back here.
Okay, thanks, Zimmy.
Hey.
The auditory clue helps. Okay. When the Dresden Files are complete, and we're all done mourning that, will you grace us with some exposition stories for the supporting friends and family, and maybe some more history of the world you've built?
When I'm done with the Dresden Files, my current plan is to start with a sort of a spin-off series centered around Goodman Gray. And the spin-off series is going to be called Monster LLC, because sometimes you need a hero to help you, but some jobs only a monster can handle.
Now we've got Ison 107. You up there somewhere? Oh, okay. Over there somewhere. Gotcha. Okay. I read that a lot of magic in Dresden comes from traditional folklore. Is there any one tradition or book you used for research which helped inspire you?
Well, what I did was, this was in 94 or 95, and I went over to Borders, and I went to the metaphysical section, and I got the 3 most affordable books on magic at the time. And the one I remember the title of was, and the one that had the most effect on the series, was probably one called Fairy Wicca. And that was, although I did reading on other stuff, and I went to the library to have something to read too. So.
Auburn Tiger Girl, are you with us?
War Eagle.
They would like to know if you could bring one bit of magic from the Dresden universe to our world, what would you choose?
One bit of magic?
Yes.
I'd want to have more mouses. If I had to bring something into the real world, I would want to bring, a dog that would be able to have to breed intelligent dogs, and that would live a long time and could be with you your whole life. What's that? Oh, and then you could love me, absolutely. Absolutely, Gloria, one of my beta readers.
Now, I'm probably going to mispronounce part of this, but please forgive me. This is for Rumpapocalypse. Okay, very good. If you could form a Marat bond with any creature from the D&D Monster Manual, what would it be?
You guys come up with good questions. That's a good one. I think a dragon's too obvious. Let me think. I think an owlbear is that'd be a little bit too on the nose too. Yeah. I mean, but a good one. I don't know. I'd probably go for a dog. It's kind of.
There's a theme.
Yeah. Having a good boy around is always a good idea. Maybe we could go with. We'll go for. If you would be willing to accept. I think it was in the. I'm not sure if it was in the Fiend Folio or Monster Manual 2, the original one, but I might go with the Kushi.
Okay, now Carol, what happened to you? Are you around?
I'm still here.
Okay, would you go ahead and read a question then, that from over there?
Okay, I have a question. If Mab had made Thomas the Winter Knight, could his hunger feed off winter or any other weird quirks that would help him?
Could what feed off winter?
His hunger.
Yeah, he could, and it would do horrible things to him.
He sounds gleeful, doesn't he?
I'm just saying that would get you a very monstrous Thomas or something like that. Really, really effective and efficient and powerful, but not very nice. You know, one of the founding principles in the Dresden Files is sort of you are what you eat, you know, because that's what I've heard. So yeah, I mean, if he was going around feeding on winter creatures, he would become more and more and more a winter creature.
GRS1 would like to know, is GRS1 up here? Okay, right there. Portals, or whatever mechanism that drops folks into Alera, do they ever go the other way? Could some Romans end up on the Kang homeworld, or something like that?
Probably not. I think it's one of those things where, I mean, essentially I envisioned Alera as sort of this drop shoot of the Bermuda Triangles of the universe. You know, when things go mysteriously missing, they just sort of wind up there. That was sort of the idea when I was writing. And I never really gave too much thought to the mechanism or anything because I was trying to win a bet. Don't look too closely at that part of the construction, it doesn't hold up well.
Kara, you want to read another one?
Yes. Okay, we have a question from Little Murph. I became a cop because of Karen Murphy. Why did Karen have to die?
Matt kind of said it. I mean, you know, there's a reason we call them mortals. That's sort of what we do. We have this limited time on the world, and what are we going to do with it? And Murphy, I would say, spent her time well, and generally speaking. I kind of wish she had a happier life. I wish I could have done something about that. But, you know, I have a very demanding audience. This is all on you. But yeah, that was kind of what I had in mind for her all along, and we'll kind of see how that we'll call back to early stuff that you'll see later. But yeah, I'm very sorry if that was painful for you. Okay, I'm not. But you know, that said, you know, come back for the next book. Get more invested in people, please.
That reminds me, you and I had a conversation about this, because when that book came out, it was when people weren't meeting in person, and we talked about maybe having some kind of a memorial service for Murphy. Do you remember that conversation?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well, I guess it just never happened. Maybe one day. We'll do that.
Sure,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
For all those we lost.
That's true. It could be
All the imaginary people we lost.
that's right. Now, Death Flight, are you out here somewhere? These lights will be definitely. Okay, right there? Okay, now that's somebody. Okay, never mind. What the Death Flight's question is, what resources / experiences did you draw upon to write Captain Grimm's duel in the most recent century?
That was actually based on a historical duel that happened between, I think it was an Italian duelist. And this is when they had like just kind of the port open to be trading in Japan, and you know, when Western powers first contacted them, and this duelist had killed like 40 to 50 samurai who come up and challenged him. He had behaved in such a way that he wanted to duel people, and it was kind of what you did, I guess, at the time, because they didn't have as much TV. And apparently, the way that the situation ended up was this rural samurai came and watched the duels, and you know, he went to the emperor and said, "Well, I can defeat this one." And the emperor's like, "Well, if you do that, you're mayor." And he's like, "Okay." And so he literally did exactly what Grimm did. He went into the fight with him, parried the little slender rapier down into his own leg, twisted his hip to trap it there, and beheaded him with the backswing on his sword. Because he's like, well, this is the weakness of his weapon is that, well, he can poke you to death and you will bleed to death, unless he just gets really, really lucky. You know, he will slowly make you leak. He can't do catastrophic damage all at once, and I can. And that's how that duel went. And that was the inspiration that I used for that.
Wow.
Kara, do you have another question? I do.
We have a question from the Queen of Air and Darkness.
Hey,
There she is.
Will there be more on Mab's story, her origin story, and her destination?
there will be bits and pieces. Mab's destination I'm not going to speak of because, you know, I don't want to spoil things. You will get a bit more story. I don't know how much though. Mab's kind of an icon. She's not really a, you know, she's not really a let's go have some girl talk sort of person, you know, at all. So I don't know how much more we're going to get about her backstory. Although it's all pie hidden markets. I'll say that much.
Although a girl talk Mab story might be a good short story. So, of her trying to have.
Well, you know, Molly trying to girl talk Mab. That was
Okay.
They'd have to be like in the middle of dealing with something, you know, attacking winter or something like that, some kind of weird never thing, and Molly trying to have a girl talk with Mab while it's going on, and Mab just being like, what is wrong with you? Kids today.
You earthlings. Kara, do you have another one?
No, but Kevin does.
Oh, okay. Kara, we've had to change the guard. All right, Kevin.
Keep going. Philip has a question. In changes, did Harry get more than the average winter night package? Either because of the bargain or the steamy scene on the stone table?
No, he got the standard deal. You know, straight from manufacturer, you know, manufacturer standard winter night is what Harry is. It's just that he's got all this other stuff and he's way more aware than most winter knights are when they first gain their powers. Most winter knights, it takes them, you know, a year before they start realizing, oh, you know, I don't feel pain, I'm super strong, I you know, I get to do all this other stuff. Dresden was much more aware than that of him because of his mental discipline. You know, he'd been working on that for his whole life. So, you know, he was able to perceive things that other people wouldn't have much faster than most would. But all that said, he's not on an unusual path for winter nights. The way things have gone for him. He's just a lot less involved with all the attractive she of the winter court, which most of the winter nights get into. Yeah, Harry's just like, no, I know, yeah, you're pretty, yeah, you look great, no.
Smart guy.
Lessons learned.
Yes. Now we have a question from Charhoof. Is it Charhoof?
Not visibly here.
Okay. If you had a pet parrot, what would you teach it to say?
Go right, go right, go right.
That's all that parrot could say.
Now, Starry Night. Are you here, Starry Night?
Over here.
Okay. Besides yourself, who is your favorite fantasy author? That's how it's worded.
I pick one favorite for okay, and I'm just going to go pure, strictly fantasy, not naughty fantasy, you know, like Dean Koontz or something like that. I don't know. I think I might. It's sort of a toss-up between one that I loved when I was a kid, which was the Belgariad, and I loved that book. That series helped get me into writing. Lord of the Rings, Narnia, etc. But other than that, recently, I mean, if you haven't read the Temeraire books by Naomi Novik, go read those. Those are amazing fantasy books.
Kevin, you got one?
We have one here from Becca, who wants to know, can you tell us about a time when a comment or question from a guest inspired a scene or part of one of your books?
There was actually a fan fiction that I saw. where Murphy died terribly. And it was so well written, and I read it, and this was like at around book 5. You know, it was one of the earlier, fan fictions. And I read it and I went, oh my God, this writer is right. This has to happen. And I worked into the series. I worked in, because this was like a random, it was like a random shooting that had gotten her. She got involved in a random shooting this fanfic. And, but I read it, and, and Dresden was there while she was going, and I was like, this scene, oh God, I have to do this to other people.
So now we know who to blame. We don't know who they are, but we know.
Like I said, it's your fault.
We have to own it now. Okay, Blue Fuzzball. Okay, over there.
All right.
Would like to know, when writing characters in a book, sometimes an author imagines a specific voice or celebrity that the character would look or sound like, or both. Are there any specific actors or celebrities that you had in mind when creating the characters?
If we could have about 1977 Harrison Ford and early 90s Duchovny have a baby, that would more or less be Dresden. That's kind of what he looks like in my head. And he sounds, when I occasionally I'll read Dresden stuff out loud, and when I do, Dresden has just a little bit of a John Wayne accent on him. Just kind of a little bit of that drawl like Solo did. And that's kind of what, when I'm reading the character, that's what he sounds.
Kevin, you got one?
We've got one here from Jack, who asks, how did the fallen angels fall if angels do not have free will?
The general thought on it is that they were given the opportunity, it didn't go so well, and the creator was like, okay, I'm going to have to experiment with something else. Which would generally, I think would generally be the case in the Dresden Files. Essentially, they got given a choice, and that would have been a Lucifer thing. Was we'd say, all right, now all of us get a choice, and you get to decide what to do. And I think he thought he would do a lot better in the book. Didn't work out.
Now, this question is kind of funny, just in terms of what you just said a couple questions ago. Lady Furman, are you with us? Okay.
Look, they're there, okay?
Lady Furman would like to know, do you ever peruse fanfics for Dresden Files just to check out what interesting plot things your fans are exploring, and have any particularly piqued your interest or that you found entertaining?
Well, there was that one. and then this other time, my niece, who was about 14 at the time, made me watch a bunch of My Little Pony so that I could go read the My Little Pony Harry Dresden crossover. With his little pinnacle cutie mark and his hat. And then somebody made the pony and sent it to me. So I've got the Harry Dresden pony on a shelf somewhere at home.
Oh, that's pretty funny.
Yeah. But I had to watch enough Friendship is Magic to be able, so that I would have it grounded.
That's right. You had to, yeah.
Well, it's my niece. She's 14 years old. Would you do this with me, Uncle Jim? Okay. Yes, I will.
Kevin, have you got one?
Yes, we have one that they chose to be anonymous, so keep that in mind.
Okay.
Does the demand on you to keep putting out books ever get to be too much?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand. Did the man who?
Did the demand on you?
The demand on you, to keep putting out books, does it ever become too much?
The problem, it's not that you guys need to do anything that is not good for you. But there is, the idea of there's lots of you and there's only one of me, and so I have to be a little bit careful about how I would allocate my time and everything. When it comes to the writing, the problem is that every time I'm writing a new book in the series, it gets a little bit more difficult to write because there's so much stuff that's gone before it. I have to make sure all the ends are lining up and everything like that. And what I get is, what's the next one? Reasonable question. You guys like my stuff and want to see the next. And it does at times kind of make me pull my hair out because I would like to get things done a lot faster. And as it turns out, writers don't write as fast as they want to. They can only write as fast as they can, which is what I'm doing. So while see, yeah, sometimes the demand is a serious thing, but it's a good problem. I like having that problem. It's way better than the other kind of problem.
We appreciate you.
Now, Shaka Khan, is Shaka Khan here? Okay. Would like to know that, like you know, they just started reading your Dresden books, and I'm on book 3. I love them. Yeah. There have been a few spoilers, but that's life. Okay. And it says, I love them, and wants to know which Dresden book is your favorite. Do you have one?
I might wind up liking this one I'm working on right now, which is called 12 Months. Because it has been so different, it's such a challenge, and I sort of like the way it's coming out. And I think it's going to be, all things considered, because you know the way I write books. There's explosions and monsters and magic, and get to the next page, and friends are in terrible danger, etc., etc. And this one, a lot of the storytelling is not. It's not necessarily action-oriented in the same sort of way. And it's been very difficult, but as I've gone back and, I'll reread occasionally as I'm reading the book, go back and read from the beginning to where I am. And, at one point I did that recently, I was like, wow, this book is really flying. It's like, how? Because it's so not what I normally do, but there's a lot of really important stuff for characters happening. So that might be. That said, I'm probably proudest of changes because I got to do so many things at once and changes and bring a bunch of plot stuff together, and that was great. And I loved that, and I want to do it some more.
Kevin, have you got one?
Yes, we have one here from Jack, talking about the Dresden Files. How many books do we have left before the big apocalyptic trilogy?
We're going to have about, the original plan was for 20 case books. However, I've never written a 20-book long series before, so it looks like it might wind up being about 22. And then after we get to 22, then we'll do the big apocalyptic trilogy, and you'll know we're about to start the big apocalyptic trilogy because first will be the book with the dragon. So.
Okay, Dasarian, are you here? Okay, very good. Would like to know what D&D level is Harry up to as of Peace Talks at Battleground?
Ooh, well, he's not quite at a meteor swarm level, is he? Although I think chain lightning would definitely be a thing for him. So 12, 13, somewhere in there.
And Trekker 42?
Right here.
Okay. Would like to know, could Fairfax take Godzilla?
I don't know, Godzilla's on another level. I mean, Fairfax is big, but not Godzilla big. He's D&D dragon big. Godzilla is, you scale him in building size. So I don't know. I mean, plus Godzilla, he's got a lot of tradition. He was there when I was young. He's elder.
Kevin?
I have one here from Mark. I'm going to paraphrase a little. But they said that they've read up on how you've talked about what you had to go through to get the Dresden books published in terms of going to cons, meeting with agents. So they're wondering if you have any advice on what cons, events, or so forth that someone might do if they want to get their own urban fantasy adventures published.
Okay, I would say the same thing for anybody who wants to get published, just generally speaking. When you go to cons, go to publishers' events. Ask questions. Be at the event. If they have a question time, be one of the people who ask questions. Get the people, the editors and stuff who are up there. Make sure they get to know what your face looks like. And you got to keep doing it for a while because they go to a lot of these conventions. It's going to take time to be able to recognize the people who just aren't going to go away. And you kind of got to be that person. You got to be the person who is tenacious, who does not give up, who does not stop with trying to get into this industry, because it's a serious bar to clear, but if you can do it, it's a good way to live. It took me 10 years to get into publishing from the time I wrote my first novel, and if it had taken me 20, it would still have been worth it. So, I mean, that's what I would say to you when you're going to that convention. Also, I would suggest you look into the Superstars Writing Convention in Colorado Springs. They hold that once a year in February. Superstars is one of the places where I go to teach classes like how to write a good climax, or how to do character, how to write characters well, how to build characters, that sort of thing. I always give a speech like that while I'm there. And then they also have an enormous amount of classes and workshops you can do that teach you about the business of writing, both traditional publishing and independent publishing. If I was coming up today, I would be trying to establish myself as an independent author with a following by writing books in a regular and timely fashion, and trying to write. I would probably try and write shorter books to just build up an audience, and then be able to go to an editor and say, hey, look, I've sold this many copies of this book, this many copies of this book. I can't do the PR like you can, but I can write a book that's good enough to keep an audience, and maybe we can work together. And that's one of the things that will help establish your cred in the way that writing short stories used to help you establish your cred.
This is from Christine. Christine, are you here?
Yeah.
She's got, okay. It's a very serious question. How big was Harry's health bar to Butters, and did Boss Music start playing?
Oh. Well, since it's I think it's backwards, because since it's from the game is from Harry's point of view, so I think Butters would be the one with the health bar. But he would be one of those guys that you'd fight, and the health bar would like go down, 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 and then then there'd be like a thrill of music of some kind, and then it would go boom back up to the top. And you have to keep going like that. You're getting backed up by the Almighty. That kind of thing happens.
Backed up by the Almighty. Kevin.
Can you talk about how you got involved in the 2013 anthology Dangerous Women, and specifically the process that led to your contribution of the Molly-centric story?
Oh, was that Bombshells? Is that one? Okay. Well, it was a story I had to write about women. I was going to write female characters, and I thought Murphy would have been a little too obvious, and I had just done a Murphy short story too. So I decided to go with Molly instead, and I wasn't sure what to call it. And then it's like, okay, well, there's going to be a bomb. All right, I'll call it Bombshells. We may have some other pretty girls in this one too. It was thematic. Okay, that was artistic. But that was honestly, I don't remember a whole lot about writing that one. That was a tough year for me.
Okay, Lieutenant Obvious. Oh, this is a good question. Yes, okay. If Harry was dropped into the Star Wars universe, how long until he has a bounty on his head?
It would probably depend at which point in the Star Wars universe he got dropped in. If it was during any of the Imperial periods, pretty quick. Harry's got an issue with bullies, and original trilogy Star Wars was bullies abounded. So it would have taken him 5, 10, 15 minutes to get them fired.
Yeah, that's not long.
No. And of course they would have looked at him and said, "Guy's a Jedi, threw a guy across the room. You can't touch him." That sort of thing.
Kevin, have you got one?
Yep, got another one from Jack asking, does Draco know the Dark Hollow, or work with Kemmler at all?
Okay, does who?
Dracul.
Dracul. Dracul found Kemmler hilarious. Well, yeah, that's sort of the way he would. And Dracul's kind of this figure who has been around for a very, very, very long time. And if you're not somebody who lives 300 or 400 years, at the very least, you're just sort of background scenery. You'll be gone. if you really bother him, he doesn't care because you'll be gone before he notices you got old and died. You know, so you know, someone like he does take wizards seriously, just barely, because they can do some things that are fairly impressive. And so he'll, you know, when it comes to somebody like Kemmler, Kemmler went out and wrecked everything, sort of spoiled some of Dracula's plans that he had going on, but nothing like super serious. Or, you know, he was planning on doing something with Russia when all that was going insane. You know, during the Bolshevik Revolution and all through, you know, World Wars I and II, and that was inconvenient. But on the other hand, World Wars I and II were hilarious as far as Dracul was concerned, because it's all these humans and they all think they're great and they're doing the good thing and fighting the noble fight, and they're all being just sort of terrible and murdering one another in wholesale, you know, on an industrial level. And he thought that was just amusing as hell. I think Dracul was probably responsible for the Wolf War in World War I think he was like, you know what? I think I'm gonna summon up all the base creatures and throw them at the humans just to see what they do. I don't know if you knew this, but World War I was actually in the Eastern Europe was actually called off for a couple of weeks because so many wolves were attacking people that they all had to stop and fight off the wolves before they could fight each other. That actually happened, and in the Dresden world, it was Dracul who did that because he thought it was amusing.
Kevin, have you got one?
Yes. Have you experienced the Chicago cultural icon Mallard liquor?
I'm not. I don't really, the way my stomach is, I don't really do alcohol very much because it does horrible things to me for days and days. So it's got to be a serious celebration before I'll do that for the most part.
Do it.
We've had a couple of people ask regarding a possible Dresden Files video game. One was from Warp Snarp. That's true. That's what it says. And there was one earlier. So yeah, they just want to know if there's a possibility of one, or what would one look like. The questions were similar, but not exactly the same. But they're wondering, what would it look like for you?
Oh, I think I would want. I think I would kind of want sort of a Skyrim-esque thing for Dresden, where you play Dresden into the world, or whoever you wanted to play. I think that would be really cool. I've also considered like I don't know how many people played UFO XCOM, but a turn-by-turn tactical thing would be a lot of fun, I think. And then mix it up with story. And these are just because they're games that I like. Although lately I've been doing nothing but fighting for Super Earth.
Yes!
Yes!
Democracy! Liberty!
I love getting online and playing Helldivers because you play with random people, and I'll just get online and start role playing a Super Earth fanatic, and I'll critique other people on how loyal their actions are to Super Earth by doing that. I needed that ammo pack. You've been disloyal to Super Earth by taking it. That sort of thing.
Now, is Frosty in here with us? Okay. Frosty would like to know, is the iron rot in the Cinder Spires technological or supernatural in origin? What do you think, sir?
Clever question, which I'm not going to answer.
Which they probably...
However, I think the fact that you posed the question in that way means that you've got a good guess, and you're probably on the trails.
Kevin, do you have one?
For someone being introduced to the Dresden Files, what order should I read them?
Well, I mean, it's going to depend on what kind of person you are. If you're a purist, start at the beginning and go to the end. If you would just rather get an idea of what you'll be getting for most of the series, I'll often suggest people start with Deadbeat. Deadbeat was written to be an introduction point to the series because it was the first time that the books had gone to hardback. So that one was, I mean, that one was written because there was going to be a bunch of new people noticing it was going to be on a new shelf, the hardback, the new releases hardback shelf, in front of the store. And so I wrote it so that if you've never read a Dresden before and you were just picking this one up or picking it up at the airport, that you'd be able to get all the things that you needed. That's why Butters came in when he did, because Butters is a guy who, basically there's a concept in writing called the joy of idiocy. And the joy of idiocy is a concept that means that you keep somebody around who doesn't know what's going on. You keep an idiot around who's got no idea what's going on, so that he can ask questions that and then the reader doesn't have to feel dumb, and they can be like, this idiot, And for that one, Butters was my idiot. And Butters was a great idiot because he's a highly intelligent person. He's just completely ignorant about everything that was going on, so it's reasonable for him to ask questions. And so I wanted to have him around and for Dresden to be able for him to ask questions and Dresden to explain things to him. And that way, if you were new to the series, you could kind of be in Butters' shoes and get what was going on. And then that would also kind of bring the reader in because that would establish sort of a kinship with Butters over the course of that book. And then when Butters gets to be a big damn hero at the end, the reader does too. So that's why I wanted to. That's why I did that one like that.
Katie, are you out there? Okay, apparently out here somewhere. Okay, has a very serious question. Can you solve the debate between me and my best friend? Has Molly's sense of style changed since assuming the mantle? Is she now all couture, designer, suits, and expensive taste? Or does she still have her ripped jeans and punk fashion sense?
Molly has her ripped jeans and punk fashion sense. However, she also has a job to do that requires her to be professional like 6 days out of 7, and half of the 7th day too. She rarely gets any time to herself. So while she's doing that, she's found that she found kind of as I did when I started trying to learn how to dress, that being able to put on, the well put together clothing and everything is very much a suit of armor in society. I mean, it very much gets you different results. It's not magical, it's weird. But it does get you results, and you don't even have to spend a lot of money on it. You just have to be able to start to put together looks that are kind of your own and sort of have an idea. My particular, because you put together a look when you want to do a clothing style thing for yourself, you got to kind of come up with an idea. So as kind of what your base style is going to be, and mine was Dunedain Librarian. So I'm up here in this shirt and the Hobbit vest and so on, with my specs and whatnot. And I think this is Dunedain Librarian really well. But I do a lot of greens and earth tones in my outfits and so on these days. And that's what Molly is. Molly's doing the same thing, but she's doing it for very practical reasons and not because she particularly likes looking like that. It's just easier to get things done that way. She's got so much to do. She's got 150 years of backlog to catch up on of stuff that Maeve would not do in her position. So.
Gotta have the suits sometime.
Now, occasionally you need your power set. That's how it is.
That's right. Pixie Late, over here, okay, would like to know, how do you come up with the names for your characters?
Sometimes they just pop in, and I go, oh, that's a great name. And sometimes characters just sort of appear in my head, fully formed. And I go, oh, okay, I've got a new voice to listen to, great. And they'll just say, this is my name. And other times I'll have to, other times I do other stuff. Other times I'll look up meanings of names and pick one with a meaning that I want appropriate for the character. A lot of writers do that. But occasionally I'll just pick a name that just sounds good. That was how Harry Dresden's name got picked. It was just, there was in my head, I'd been watching 2 movies, okay? The first one was Cast a Deadly Spell. And there's a scene in Cast a Deadly Spell where H. Philip Lovecraft is, because he's the PI, who's the star of the story, is talking to is in a club to talk to the singer, and it's run by a mob guy, and the mob guy's enforcer comes out and says, Harry wants to see you. And just the way he said it, Harry wants to see you, just sort of stuck in my head because that was the way he did. And then after I got done watching that, I was flipping through channels, back when channels were a thing, and I mean, honestly. And an episode of Babylon 5 was on. It was Boxleitner talking about various military atrocities that have been committed through history. And he was just sort of listing them down, going down the list of them. And one of them that he listed was Dresden. And he says that in that gravelly Boxleitner voice, Dresden. And I was like, hey, Dresden, Dresden. And that was the first night I wrote the first 5 or 6 pages of Stormwind. Was that night.
Interesting inspiration there. Folks, we are out of time. I know, it's very sad, isn't it? But you can catch up with Jim other places at Con tomorrow. I don't think you have anything else on your schedule today, do you? But you can come and visit him. Signing in the afternoon
Yes, I'm doing a signing.
at 5:30.
See, they give me a tag so I don't get lost.
It's at 5:30.
5:30 tomorrow evening.
And he said he will be at a panel or not.
Paul, if you're here, I'll be over here. I can't see you because of the lights, but if you're here, I'll be over here at the end.
Okay, well, thanks. Let's thank Jim for being here.